Hey everyone, I'm Cherie.
I'm Chef Whitney.
And for the mental... So the other thing in regards to boundaries that I want to talk about, do you believe in setting boundaries not only when it comes to business, what about personal relationships, friendships? Do you feel like those are necessary?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say hell. She said it humbly. I'm going to say yes, it is. And excuse my passion for it. But boundaries are necessary.
They are mandatory. They have to be implemented no matter who it is. Because the more you love a person, the more open you are to that person taking advantage of you. And unfortunately, not everybody goes into a relationship just with this intent to use someone. But people are always going to try you.
Yeah.
People are always going to push your buttons and see what you will allow.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Even when you establish boundaries in the beginning, people will still test them.
Yeah,
right?
To see if you're strong enough to uphold those boundaries and follow through with them.
Because you could say, I don't like people calling me after 10 p.m. That person will call you at 10:03. Like, are you sure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See if they're going to pick up. Let me see something.
Let me see if they'll pick up for me.
Yeah. And once you pick that phone up at 10:03, guess what you just did?
You broke that boundary.
You broke that boundary. And now that person
thinks
they could call... What that
boundary?
Is?
What is that?
What that is?
What is that? What is that?
People will take a lot out of you.
They really do.
Them.
And you know what's interesting? It's like I didn't really realize how much I invested into other people until I started setting boundaries. Mm-hmm. Until I started like slowly distancing myself. And that goes for friends, family, and personal romantic relationships. Mm-hmm. Like you just don't, and even professionally, like you just don't realize how much you can invest in a person sometimes. And that's why boundaries are so important, because if you make yourself accessible to like even your friends calling you every time they need you, or like trying to cater all day every day to your romantic partner just so they feel secure, and it's just like, bro, like you can only do so much as one person.
Those performative emotions are
they are. They really draining. Are. And it's also a people pleasing thing too. It is people to piggyback onto that.
Absolutely.
Like when you said, like the other day, Whitney was like, do you, like I was having a conversation with her about like personal relationships, and she was like, do you feel like you do a lot of people pleasing? And I was like, no. And then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I do. Not in no like I'm kissing their ass, trying to like kiss their feet type thing, but on some like you love certain people enough to where it's like you will go above and beyond to make yourself available to them without even thinking twice about it. But sometimes as human beings, we have to check that because we can't get burnt out and we can't get exhausted and we can't get drained. Mm-hmm. And that trickles over into other things like your work, your kids, your family. Like it really does.
That's so true. You really you have to be so passionate about your boundaries once they're established that you have to be willing to cut off anybody that breaks that.
Sadly. Anybody
that crosses them, that once you've already said, listen, I don't like this. This makes me feel whatever. And they completely disregard that. They gotta go. They gotta go.
I'm not gonna lie, transparency moment for me. I had a hard time doing that. Like
it's hard.
It is really hard.
It's so hard.
It is really hard. Like I had a hard time doing that. I'm like, oh no, like I know I keep repeating myself to this person, or I know I keep repeating myself to this dude. Yes, I feel like that he or she or whoever doesn't hear me, but it's like you do get to a point where you can only repeat yourself for so long. Mm-hmm. At some point, you have to question yourself, like, does this person even respect me? Like, do you really respect our friendship? Do you respect our relationship? Do you respect me enough to abide by, not necessarily abide by what I'm asking you, but respect what I'm asking you? If I'm letting you know that something bothers me, if I'm letting you know that I'm not comfortable with something, and you still continue to me after I've explained my boundaries time and time again, do not be mad with the consequences are.
Right.
Don't be upset about it.
What's so interesting about that is it typically has very little to do with you.
Little.
And it has everything to do with them and the fact that they don't have boundaries and they don't practice boundaries. So you establishing and practicing boundaries is something that's foreign to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They're like, what?
You're giving me a boundary? Did she just tell me? I don't care what she said. I'm going to still do it anyway.
Especially if you let it slide. You know what I'm saying? If you let something slide, people think you a Ziploc.
For sure. No, that's real. That is real.
That's why now you almost gotta be like, not even tough, but just really advocate for yourself and what's going to make you happy and the type of relationships that you want to have with people.
Yeah.
You have to establish that in the very beginning, and you really got to you got to grow a spine, unfortunately, because it's not easy.
It's not.
It's not easy. You learn to like people, and sometimes you fall in love, and sometimes you don't even know that person well enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even realizing this person is a whole antagonist. And they poke at you and they poke at those boundaries and they constantly, you know what I'm saying?
Or they're doing the thing that they said that they don't do. Like, it's like, you said you weren't this person, but you really are.
What they say, they do it with a remix. Like, do it like it's they B-Day. That's how they do. Oh, I wouldn't do you like that. I'm going to do you like this.
Exactly. But you know what? Another thing that I learned when I got to a point where, like, you know, when I got injured, I started setting, like, serious boundaries. Like, real boundaries. And before that, I started setting boundaries, like, in my personal relationships. But, like, one thing that I saw real quickly when you set a boundary is, like, people don't like that, and people do feel like they're an exception to the rule and feel and they do get upset when you set a boundary
every time.
But at the same time, I've had situations where I might have crossed boundaries with friends, family, people, but they let me know that, and once they let me know that, I respect it, because sometimes you might not know you're crossing a boundary.
Right.
You might not know, but like if they tell you and you still continue to tiptoe and tap dance on that line, you wild. Don't be mad when you no longer have access to that person.
Yep. Because people out here cutting you off for less, okay?
Less.
I ain't like how you choose.
Like, you blinked at me.
You blinked at me way too hard. Why you scramble my eggs so soft? Why they runny? Is that cheese? I don't like no cheese.
Bitch, you didn't melt my cheese. I like my cheese melted. But yeah. That is very, very real.
You gotta set boundaries with everyone.
But also too, like when we say boundaries, like it doesn't have to be anything rude or toxic. Like you can set healthy boundaries.
Absolutely, you can.
You can definitely set healthy boundaries. Like in any type of relationship that you have, you can definitely set healthy boundaries. And also too, if you're on the receiving end of somebody that's giving you a boundary, don't take offense to it. Don't be so defensive about it. Maybe ask them, you know, about that boundary. Maybe you guys can have an open dialogue as to why they want to set that boundary with you, and that's okay. But don't be so defensive when somebody sets a boundary. Respect that.
You should be happy that people are setting boundaries, because they're saying, like, I want to preserve myself so that I can be my best self.
And have you in my life still.
And have you in my life.
And I don't think people look at that.
Especially, I want you in my life, so let me tell you what... Let's you know what I'm saying? Like, let's establish some boundaries. Because I could just cut you off
and not say anything.
Exactly.
So yeah,
like I said, people are doing it for less.
Way less.
So literally, if somebody is trying to like set boundaries with you, you gotta respect it, because they're trying to save the relationship between you two.
Yeah, that is real. That's exactly what it is, though. Like, especially like in my friendships and my personal relationships, like there have been times where I had men like feel some type of way because I was giving a boundary, and they took it as like, I don't want to say it was like a dart to our relationship or a friendship, but I'm letting them know that because the next time it happens, I know that it would be a deal breaker for me. I know that it could be. When I'm giving you a boundary, 9 times out of 10, I see it early to where it could be something where I don't rock with you anymore. Yeah. So I'm letting you know that, and maybe you might not be aware of it. Some people aren't aware.
Because you set different boundaries for different people.
Yeah, exactly.
People cross the line in different ways.
Absolutely. Not every boundary is the same. It doesn't look the same across the platform for every person.
That's so
true. It doesn't.
True.
It really doesn't. So if I'm setting a boundary, it's specifically as to how you're treating me as an individual. Not like, you're a dude, I got to give the same dude the same boundary. No, that's not the case. I give a boundary to a specific person, to our specific relationship.
Right.
And to how that's affecting our relationship, and letting you know too, like, the next time you do this, I'm not going to be as nice.
Right.
Because I'm nice when I set a boundary.
Yeah.
Next time, you can't be upset because of how I react, because I give you a warning.
Mm-hmm. They don't be hearing you though.
They
People
don't.
People like move like
they really
own,
don't.
like they own you.
Or you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, because they own you.
Exactly.
I've actually dated people that, like, once
That's
I
cool.
left them, they were like, I didn't think you were actually going to leave
Exactly.
me. And I'm like, what do you mean? I told you I would. I cheated on you. Like, what? The signs were there. You thought I wasn't going to leave you? How?
And that's the other thing too. Don't ever get too comfortable. Regardless of what relationship you're in, whether that's a friendship, it don't matter how long I've been friends with you, bro. I'm at the point in my life where I will cut you off because I discovered my peace of mind. And my peace of mind goes harder than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real. But that also is like self-awareness and self-love at the same time. Like, I'm okay with executing these boundaries for the sake of my mental health and how I feel. Because you don't know how what you're doing is affecting that person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really don't.
That's
and you
so
also
true.
don't know where people are in their lives. Like, they could be at their breaking point off of something else.
Mm-hmm.
But
we
they're
saw that
trying
on
to
Jocelyn's Cabaret. Sorry.
That was so entertaining. Oh my God. What boundaries? There were no boundaries in there.
No boundaries.
None.
But yeah, somebody could definitely be at their breaking point and you caught them at the right time.
The right time.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
And then people are like, oh, what happened with you and so-and-so? What are you going to say? I bet you they're not going to say I crossed the boundary.
they never
And
will.
you know what's crazy
They
is, like,
never
I
will.
think the most fascinating ones is like when people act like they don't know why you cut them off. One thing
Bro.
about me, I'm very direct. I'm very, very, very direct.
Yeah.
You knew. You
Yeah.
just didn't hear me when I said it the first time.
You know
and the
what?
second time. And sometimes the third time if I liked you enough.
Yes.
So good luck with explaining what the real reason is. And yeah, you don't know what it is because you don't want to be accountability. You don't want to be accountable for your actions. Granted, it takes two, but at the same time, in regards to an individual boundary that someone is telling you, please respect that.
Yeah.
For the sake of any relationship, or if you really want that person in your life, they're setting that boundary because they love you, because they care about you, and they want you around, not because they're trying to be me.
That's true. They're really not.
Like, I think that a lot of times we just have to change our perspectives
Mm-hmm.
when we have certain conversations. And I also think, like, setting boundaries is kind of, you're not really taught to set boundaries like that.
You're not.
You're taught to defend yourself and protect yourself, but you don't really
people please.
And people
We're
please.
taught to people please.
We are,
at
but
a
you
very
don't.
young age.
We are, and you don't really think like. Sometimes I just need to set a boundary,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, it makes things that much better when you do decide to like end a relationship or friendship or distance yourself from a relative or whatever the case is, because it's like you let them know. And you can peacefully make your exit. And you don't have to explain why you made your exit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you already said it.
Mm-hmm. And I always say that, like, I'm such a direct person that if you misunderstood me, it was a choice.
Come on. Come on. Tell them.
You
Let
say
them
it
know.
again.
Say that. Please say that again.
I'm a very direct person.
Very.
So if you misunderstood me, it was a choice. Okay? I'm so careful with the way that I communicate with people. You know what I'm saying?
Because delivery is important,
it's
too.
so important. I want you to understand exactly what's coming out of my mouth. I'm going to take some time to think. Okay? I don't want no misunderstandings on my part. I want no misunderstandings on my part. I might have to walk away from a conversation and get back to it in a day or two. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, because let me make sure that everything I say, I mean.
Yeah. And you hear it, hopefully.
And it's gentle. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't feel like the truth always has to hurt. Honesty doesn't always have to hurt. You can have healthy dialogue in a disagreement.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
true. And I also think that, like, there have been times where I've set personal boundaries and the person that I was speaking to reacted in a blew it out the water just because they didn't like what was being said.
Yeah.
But at the same time, keep in mind that how you react and how you receive things also plays a role. That goes back to what we were saying about not listening is a choice. You reacting and not being able to control your emotions based off of the conversation that we have and the dialogue and the boundary, that's a choice.
Yeah, we're grown.
We are grown. But keep in mind, I told you.
I definitely told you.
I
told you. I texted to you. I wrote you a 4-page essay.
Listen.
I gave you reference points.
My actions
dates and
tell
times,
you.
Locations, screenshots. Okay?
It doesn't matter what
I tweeted it. You saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You read it. You knew.
Mm-hmm.
You knew.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Say you didn't. Look, like,
no,
say you
real.
ain't know. People know. But again, that don't be having nothing to do with you most of the time. It has everything to do with them and where they are. People can only meet you as deeply as they have met themselves.
Ooh.
And that's just that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
ooh.
That's just that. Sometimes there is no right or wrong way to say something. Sometimes, like, if people are just not on that level to comprehend, to understand what you're saying, comprehension is a part of communication, guys.
Listen.
It is. There is no right or wrong approach, like, because they're gonna just take it as something negative, and they're not gonna see, you know what I'm saying? Like, because again, they're not establishing those boundaries in their relationships, and they haven't, and they feel like they've been taken advantage of, so you should let them do that to you. Like, you really, really, really gotta just like toughen up and just say no.
Yeah, or no one's ever given them boundaries.
No one has
ever set a boundary to them.
Spoiled, entitled people. Sure.
Absolutely. Like, whether it's from their families, their friends, like, nobody's checked them for real. Nobody's ever told them, like, no, you need to chill out, or like a real boundary. Like, nobody, there have been situations where I can tell nobody has ever done that for them. And that's a problem, because it plays over into your relationships, or like, you want a female that's like about her stuff, or has a great self-awareness and has great emotional maturity, but you're not able to provide that because you don't provide that for yourself.
Right.
So don't be upset.
I'm gonna be that person. Okay.
Listen.
Because you ain't got to be around me.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely establishing boundaries. I've left jobs. I've cut people off. I've ended relationships.
Friendships.
Because at the end of the day, like, again, this is my life, and this is what I need to have peace. And if I'm going to tell you, like, this is how my life is running, and I need you to just kind of fall in line with that, which is, everybody has a way that their life runs, and they need people to fall in line a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
Boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not cool with that, cool. Now you just made it easier for you to not be around me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the first time, now it can't even be a second or third time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're adults. It shouldn't be more than one conversation. It should not. And go to therapy. Take that lack of comprehension to therapy.
No, that's real.
You need somebody to mediate the way your brain works. If you don't understand that boundaries is a healthy thing that needs to be established, and that you need to establish some of your own.
But also, like, boundaries that work for who you are as an individual, and your life story, and where you are and who you have become as a person, because not every person's boundaries are the same.
Right.
So that's why the whole therapy thing, that's a real thing, because their therapist comes up with boundaries that work for you in your life and the things that you're going through emotionally, spiritually, and things like that. So I definitely agree with that. And I do think a lot of, that too. And also too, a lot of people do lack, like, just the emotional maturity to even, like you said, set the boundaries, keep them, but also be able to communicate. Like, I always say, like, I don't have an issue with someone showing their emotions. Like, if I set a boundary and they don't like it, like, you have every right to feel the way that you feel. But there's a difference between feeling your and losing your Those are two totally different things. And I definitely think that you could literally have a healthy conversation about anything, and it really not go left. But I also learned, like, some people do act crazy when you set those boundaries, because that's the only way they know how to handle them.
Don't I know it?
Because that's the only way they know how to handle them. And, like, some people feel like everything has to end in chaos, especially even in relatives. Like, it doesn't have to end in chaos. It doesn't have to be crazy, bro.
It does not have to.
It doesn't have to be crazy. But I've seen people where I've had calm conversations with people. I will sit next to you, hold your little hand. We'll both be crying, and you go and blow the out of proportion.
Yeah.
And that's not what the vibe was.
Yeah.
You go and tell the homie and you blow the shit out of proportion, or you blow out of proportion overall. When I was very delicate and very calm. And it's just... And sometimes it makes you upset because it's like, you don't understand how much effort I put to set this calm boundary. Mm-hmm. And you went and showed your ass.
I really liked you.
And I really liked you. And I really liked you.
Now you gotta go. No more busting it open for you, mister.
None of that.
What's crazy though is like,
it's true though.
Even once you're like, okay, you know what? You crossed this boundary. Now I gotta let you go. Then they do all this work to like get you back. They do all this work to get you back. But it's not even in a healthy way. It's in a very love bombing kind of way. Oh my
God. Can we talk about that?
It's in a super, super like love bombing kind of way.
It's not
and
genuine.
Like I've dated people, both men and women, that it's like they're going to be nice to you as long as they feel like you're entertaining them enough that they have another chance. And then once they get back to that reality that they don't have another chance, they like flip. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Girl,
but then get upset as when they're trying to like be nice to you and like and you take advantage of what they're offering.
It's like I thought the idea was to make me like you again.
Yeah,
but you crazy.
Because to be honest, like if someone tells me like, nah, Sheree, like it's not gonna work, I'm gonna leave you where you at.
Cool.
I'm gonna leave you where you at, even if my feelings are hurt. I'm like, I've had people where it was like, you know what? I respect that. You can't even be mad at someone that's being honest with you though. Like
you can't.
As much as you want to be upset because you might not have that person in your life anymore, you really cannot be mad because we go through a lot of relationships and where people don't say anything or can't even express themselves or be vulnerable. So when you have somebody that is trying to be vulnerable enough to express themselves to you, tell you how they feel, then you know like, hey, the next time you do this, I think that's gonna be it for me.
Yeah, like when you're in a relationship, you have to be open to growing with that person in whatever capacity like that looks like for them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And however it looks like for you, because that person is I'm trying to bring you into my world.
Yeah.
This is how I need this to kind of go. And then you literally do the same, like it's give and it's take.
It is.
Go to therapy.
I agree, man. Like, I just can't stress that enough.
Talk to somebody, because people
real.
are very unhinged these days. People are unraveling.
But some people feel like they don't have any issues. Like, people feel like there is nothing. Like, I will tell you, like, I am flawed. I know what my issues are, though.
Not me. I'm perfect.
Just kidding. But that's the thing. But anybody that can set a boundaries has an idea of who they are.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just what it is.
That's
like,
so true.
You really do. Like, because people out here that aren't setting boundaries have no sense of who they are, what they... Not only that, like, if I set a boundary, it's also not a present thing. It's something like in the future. Like, it's something that I could see being an issue in the future. So, like, I'm thinking I have foresight when it comes to that. It's not like right here, right now, like the way that you made me feel just right now. It's like, no. I know where this can go. Like, I'm paying attention to how you respond and see if you respect what I have to say enough, like, to last us for a long time. Or, like, if you do want to get married and have kids, like, how is that going to project when we get married, when finances come in, when we start getting property and having kids?
Yeah.
Are you still going to respect my boundaries?
Because
if you're not, you're not going to see that.
Yeah. They're so, boundaries. Yeah. Go to therapy, y'all.
Yeah.
Just go to therapy, right?
Definitely. I agree. I definitely agree. But it's definitely... And also, if you set a boundary and it ain't working, be okay with the fact that it didn't work. Mm-hmm. Be okay with it.
You gotta learn when to let go.
Oh.
You gotta learn when to give up. Everything isn't about holding on. Life is literally about balance. It is about balance. It's about knowing when to let go and knowing when to hold on, and then trusting that you made the right decision.
That part.
And even if you may have not made the right decision, you gotta be okay with that.
Yes.
Because you're not perfect and you're still gonna make mistakes.
Yes.
But you definitely just gotta at least like make yourself the priority, make your happiness the priority, and do whatever you think is going to get you to where you're trying to go.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I absolutely agree. Like, you definitely have to be okay with whatever the outcome is when you set a boundary. Mm-hmm. You have to be okay with the fact that you might not have this person again.
Cause that is painful. I've been there. Like I had to end a relationship with somebody I loved so much, but I love me more. Like I love me way more, and I always will. So, cause once you've taken everything from me, because I've let you walk all over me, and then you're done with me. Now I gotta go to the next person, or maybe I don't want to go to anybody, and now I've just allowed you to affect my life in such a way that is gonna affect how I love.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
That's real.
Sayonara.
That's real.
Yeah.
That is very real.
You gotta go.
That was deep, bro. That was deep. So yes, don't be afraid to set boundaries in your business, in your personal, professional relationships. Set boundaries for yourself, for the people that you love, but more than anybody, for yourself.
And that go for them kids too, cause listen, you gotta be ready to cut them off too. Little 5-year-old always asking for fruit snacks, and you tired, and y'all ain't got no fruit snacks. I don't want to go to the store.
Not the kids.
They gotta go.
The kids can get it too.
The kids can get it too. I don't care if you 6 months old. You too needy. I got boundaries.
Mom. Mom. What are those? But yes, set boundaries. Don't be afraid to set them. Social media, all that. And also don't be upset when you're on the receiving end of someone who was setting a boundary.
So ooh, that goes from, I received that. Because I'm spoiled. Look, I'm establishing boundaries, but wait. You talking about you gonna establish something with me? What that is? What?
You have to be willing to receive.
Oh, that include me too.
That includes us too.
Look, scratch this whole conversation. No, just like no, that's you right.
That includes us.
You right.
But yeah, so set boundaries. Wish you nothing but success in your personal, professional endeavors, emotionally, spiritually, all that. Any final words for them?
Go to therapy.
Stop
drinking so much. Stop drinking so much. I'm not saying stop drinking. Stop drinking so much.
Yeah.
You know, have a clear mind.
Yeah. Have a healthy outlet.
A healthy
one.
Okay.
So yeah, we're signing off. Cherie, Chef Whit. Thank you for tuning in.